You are watching State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. My name is John Chrisman. This show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. And what we're talking about today is a question that I always pose when I have somebody ask me about continuing education. So if you have a real estate license, when you first get your real estate license, you have to do something called post-licensing. But then every renewal after that, you do a very simple thing called continuing education. Now, post-licensing, it's a little bit heftier of a requirement than continuing education. And once you complete your post-licensing, you're kind of grandfathered into that sales associate, or if you have a broker license, once you do your broker post-licensing, you're kind of grandfathered into that broker license. And all you have to do every 2 years is to renew your real estate license by completing 14 hours of continued education. Now, we have several different course formats available, from text-based online courses to as something as simple as a correspondence course, where you get a book, and it has all the information in that book. You read through it at your leisure, and all you need to get your completion, your credit for this course, is to pass a 30-question open book exam with at least an 80%. You do that, 30-question open book exam, at least 80%, you get your 14 hours of continuing education credit. And that would include your law requirement, your ethics requirement, as well as your elective hour requirement. So that's the simplest, easiest way to complete that. It's a very generalized course, that 14-hour correspondence course. So if you do want to learn about something more specific, that's why I would recommend one of our online programs, where we have programs about working with veterans, programs about working in commercial, about property management. So if you're wanting to learn more about these more specialty areas of real estate, that would highly be something I would recommend, as long as you have time to get those completed, because honestly, those probably will take a little bit more time to go through, especially if you're planning on trying to absorb the information out of them, versus if you're just trying to get the credit. That's where the 14-hour correspondence option is probably going to be your quickest, easiest bet to go through that. So regardless of whatever method you do to complete your continuing education, it's pretty easy. Every 2 years after your post-licensing, after your first renewal, just that 30-question open book exam, or one of the online courses, or the selection of online courses that you pick and choose from to make up those 14 hours. But the question, again, that I always pose when we're talking about doing renewals is, why not get your broker license? And the most common response to that question of why not get your broker license: oh, I don't want to start a brokerage. Or it might not even be necessarily that I don't want. It's typically more along the lines of, I'm not ready for that, or whatever the thing is that makes it think that it's not something that, maybe something you'll do someday, but maybe not right now. Well, let's go to the board, because we're going to talk about the requirements of what it is to upgrade your real estate license to broker, as well as what ultimately you can gain from having that broker license, even if you choose to remain on with your current broker as what's known as a broker associate. So pretty much any brokerage, you can remain under your current broker as a broker associate. Now, as a broker associate, you're not anymore in charge. That's the key word, associate. Let's go to the board here, and let's put this together. Ooh, look, we got a blackboard today. That's interesting. Let me know in the chat what do you think about the blackboard. I wish they would have just given me a plain white. Is that white? Yeah, that looks pretty white. Okay, so let's start off with this term, associate. So an associate means you're associated with a broker. That's what an associate means. And you start out as a sales associate, but you can upgrade to a broker associate. But either way, whether you're a sales associate or a broker associate, you're still going to be associated with a broker. So that's another top concern, another top reason why a lot of people that are eligible to get a broker license don't, is they're like, well, I'm not ready to start my own brokerage. I'm not sure about starting my own brokerage. Now isn't the right time to start my own brokerage. And it's, again, something that a lot of people aspire to. I mean, I talk to so many people that are brand new to real estate, just getting their initial sales associate pre-licensing done. And if they don't already know about brokers when that's covered in the course, at least half the class, if not more, is always like, yeah, I want to become a broker someday. But when you look at the actual statistics and the numbers of how many sales associates actually become brokers, It's not half of them. It's a very small percentage of them, despite the fact that on average broker associates earn more than sales associates. You're joining a new rank when you upgrade your license to a broker license as compared to a sales associate license. The sales associate license is great. And again, honestly, the difference, because you are an associate, is really more so in title. That's really the key thing here. That's what the state calls this. They call this your rank. So I know we got a lot of people that have been in the military, or maybe you're just familiar, maybe you've had family, friends, whatever it may be, but you're very familiar with that term of rank. And you could go up a lot of different rankings, and at the end of the day, you know, until you get to like the level of like president, and even then the president's got all kinds of people that lean on them and talk to them and push it into all that. So there's always a higher authority, such as like the Florida Real Estate Commission, because you know, one of the big benefits of starting your own brokerage is being able to be much more independent, much more autonomous. But at the end of the day, you still have that Florida Real Estate Commission that does oversee everything. But another way to also look at this, rather than just rank, that is what the DBPR calls this, is your rank. Are you a sales associate or a broker associate? What's the rank of your license? But it's also your title. Because as a broker associate, that term broker just sounds a lot better than sales. Think of how now look, I love sales. I love sales. I've got no problem asking for sales. I got no problem helping other people learn sales. I'm very comfortable with the terminology of sales. But do I prefer to call myself a broker rather than a salesperson? Absolutely. And that's going to be the case with most people, because there's a lot of people out there giving salespeople, just in general, not even real estate sales associate, but a lot of people giving salespeople a bad name. And when you level up your rank, when you get a better title, you're able to now share with your clients, not that you're a salesperson, that you're a sales associate. And yes, at the end of the day, they do need somebody to sell their house. So yes, you are doing sales, but you can make that sales term so much more elegant with instead the term of broker. Now, common question is, okay, if I get a broker license, can I call myself broker? Now, you can say you have a broker license, but ultimately, you're not the broker unless you are the broker. The DBPR often calls this the broker of record. The broker of record essentially meaning in charge. Now, when you obtain a broker license, if you're registered with a broker already, you just immediately upgrade. And you might say, well, do I need to get permission from my broker? Absolutely not. This is not your broker's license. This is your license. You do what it is that you want with your license. Now, could your broker get scared if one of their top agents is getting a broker license? Absolutely. Your broker's like, hey, what you doing there? What, do you got to go out on your own here? And, you know, listen, as a broker myself, remember, I'm a broker also with multiple broker licenses. And, you know, I've had many agents that have gone on to get broker licenses. And at the end of the day, go for it. I encourage my agents to get a broker license. You know, if you start your own brokerage, fantastic, good for you. That's great. Not everybody always shares my mindset around growth and empowering the growth of others. You know, there are people that, rather than empowering the growth of others, that, you know, they see, oh no, I'm going to lose my best asset if they go start their own brokerage. They could take they could take my agents if they go start their own brokerage. All these things are going to go through your broker's head. So might they try to discourage you? Absolutely. Now, again, if you're one of my agents at one of my brokerages and you've talked to me about this, I'm probably going to be the most encouraging broker in the world as it relates to this. Not just because of my involvement at Tampa School of Real Estate, but actually probably a lot more because of that. Not from the financial standpoint, but because what we do here is we help people grow. And, you know, it would be probably more financially beneficial if you stay with your current broker, whether that's as a broker associate or sales associate. But when you have that ability, because once you upgrade to broker, so let's say you do this, and we're going to talk about being able to skip your continuing education requirement, because if you do this before your renewal deadline, that's how this could basically line up to do. And so this is usually one of the best times to do the broker licensing course, is when you have a continuing education deadline coming up, because when you get your broker license, it essentially creates a brand new license. Your continuing education requirement goes away as long as you do this before the deadline. Now, if you don't get your broker license until after your continuing education deadline, then yes, you will have to do the continuing education before that deadline regardless. But if you were to start today, so if you've got the March 31st deadline, today it is March 8th. Now, that's really kind of close to, if you start today, could you be licensed before the end of the month? Absolutely. It's possible. Is it going to be easy, especially if you're an agent juggling business? I don't know, maybe. You know, interest rates are still high right now. It's not like the pot is boiling over with business in the real estate market. Don't get me wrong, there's still business to be out there. So you might have justifiable reason as to why you don't have time to do this right now. But that's why I would encourage you to consider our self-guided on-demand program. We give you 1 year access, and ideally you want to try to condense this down to the least amount of time possible to get this done as quickly as possible. That's going to help you the most with the exam. Because there's a state exam from this, but it's this much harder than your sales associate exam. And if you're like, John, I don't want to have to do the sales associate exam. Listen, if you've made it 2 years already with your real estate license, yes, there's going to be some stuff you've got to brush up on, some of the laws, the rules, and stuff like that. But it's all stuff that you've already done before, so it's all going to come back to you, especially the sooner you've done it. Now, if it was 10, 15 years ago that you got your real estate license, yeah, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. But if it's only been 2 years since you've got your real estate license, that's another reason why I highly encourage people to do this early. As soon as you've got 2 years experience, so let's say you're just completing your post-licensing right now. If you're just about to complete your post-licensing, if you've been active this whole time, well, you're coming up right on 2 years of experience, and you don't have to have 2 years experience to start the course. You just have to have 2 years experience when you go to do your application to upgrade your license. And your course completion for your broker pre-licensing course is going to be good for 2 years. So let's go back. Let's rewind a little bit here. If you're just tuning in, welcome in. This is State of Real Estate. We're here every single Friday, 12 noon Eastern Time. We're live. You could find out more information at tsre.us. I believe the website we've got, let me double check this right here, right now. But I believe we have a website called upgradeToBroker.com. Let's upgrade to broker.com. And there you go. Perfect. UpgradeToBroker.com. That's going to give you the step-by-step guide. So I'll put that on the screen for you here, because that'll take you right to the exact page on the Tampa School of Real Estate website that gives you the steps. UpgradeToBroker.com. Let's talk about the requirements if you're considering this. So 2 years active. Having an active license. Do you have to sell anything as the law is right now, the requirements? No. That's been the case in the past. And so that's yet another reason why I would encourage you to do this now. While the requirements are not extremely difficult to get the broker license compared to historical, it's been more difficult in the past to get a broker license than it is now. So that alone would be the reason why I would encourage you to do this now before they do make this more difficult, because there's talks of the Florida Real Estate Commission about that, about increasing the requirement to become a broker. Now, this 2 years, this can be out of state as well. So if you've got out-of-state experience, if you've had a real estate license in another state, you'll have to get some documentation from that state to provide to the DBPR to basically prove that you do have at least 2 years experience. But that could be a way to where you don't have to, you could get a sales associate license immediately here in Florida, or maybe you just need a couple more months. The key thing with this 2 years, it has to be within the last 5. So if you've got 2 years of having an active license within the last 5 years, so 2 within the last 5, you're eligible to get the brokered license. It's a 72-hour pre-licensing. If you remember your pre-licensing, it's a 63-hour. So again, it's just that much harder. It's just that much little bit more information, because there's so much of this information that is just recap. At least half of this course is going to be your sales associate pre-licensing information. Again, yet another reason why to do this as soon as possible to you getting your license, just so you don't have to, the longer the time goes in between, even if you are practicing real estate, there's a lot of laws and rules and things that are covered in here that are not always in your everyday business. So the longer it goes, also the more likelihood there's changes in the laws and things you're having to learn all over again potentially. So the sooner you do this, the easier it will be. That is something I know for sure on that. And do as I say, not as I do, because it was many years before I went and actually got my real estate broker license. But looking back on it, I'm so glad that I did. I wish I actually had done it earlier. I did remain as a broker associate for a brief period, but very shortly after, I did file to start my own brokerage, because let's talk about the benefits of your own brokerage. Now, this might still be the dream. You do not have to immediately start. Let's go back on this requirements. You start as a broker associate. So again, it basically just upgrades your current license. So if you're active with a broker, your rank will just change. And that's it. And it doesn't even notify your broker of this because it's the same license. You've just increased your ability to be able to activate your own brokerage at any time. So once you get your broker license, that's the main advantage it is that you're gaining. Let's say your brokerage, if you're at one of these big like companies, you know, we'll throw some names out there. You're at EXP, you're at Keller Williams, you're at Coldwell Banker, you're at Century 21, you're at Remax, you're at any of these larger companies. What if they change their compensation structure? Boom. Like that. There's a lot of things that are going on right now in the real estate world that could be shaking things up. And if you're part of these bigger brokerages, I mean, no matter how many awards you might have been given, no matter how much things they have done to make you feel like you're important to the company, because you are, absolutely. But at the end of the day, you're still just a number. And at the end of the day, the survival of the company always is going to supersede the survival of the agents, at least from the board of directors of these larger organizations. And so what that means is that these larger organizations especially, you're more likely to, in the blink of an eye, having something change on you. To where, yes, you then can go get your broker license then, but what if the market's hotter right now than it is right now? What if when this does happen to you, maybe it is because the market is hotter, and that's why this organization, whatever one it might be, and even if you're at a smaller brokerage, that can still happen. Like I said, it's maybe more likely to happen at a larger brokerage just because you're so far disconnected from the top of those organizations, the larger the company is. But even if you're at a smaller brokerage, at the end of the day, the broker has to do what they have to do. You know, there's that show Selling Tampa. I don't know if any of you watched that show Selling Tampa. I think I made it 1 or 2 seasons. But it was a very interesting show, and there's a scene in there specifically where you get to see the broker changing the commission splits and the agents reacting to that. And it was just a simple meeting of coming in and, hey, look, here's the announcement. This is what we've got to do. If you don't like it, there's the door. And the thing is, if you're just a sales associate and you're in that position where you're considering the door, you have to go find a new door to walk it into instead of being able to, at any time, open your own door. Because when you hold a broker license, even if you're staying as a broker associate with your current broker, whatever happens in the world, whatever happens in the universe, whatever happens in your life, that is the reason why it's go time. Activate. We have to activate the Start My Own Brokerage plan. You could do that at any time once you hold the broker license. You could stay with your current broker or whatever broker forever. You don't ever have to start your own brokerage. But at any time, in the drop of a hat, you could just go file a piece of paperwork with the DBPR and you've got your own brokerage. Your own brokerage. And let's get back to these benefits of your own brokerage. You're in charge. And you do still answer to someone, but you answer to the FREC. So that's why you restudy those laws and rules in your broker pre-licensing course, because it's like, all right, well, you're going to go out on your own. Let's make sure you remember these basic things that are really important from pre-licensing that we don't want you to mess up, because you're going to be in charge with your own brokerage. 100% commission. 100% commission. That's the thing that, you know, regardless of what brokerage you're at, it would always be better if you're getting 100% commission. Now, in a lot of cases, what the broker offers, and for them to be able to make a profit, they can't always offer 100% commission. But the thing is, you could basically take on all of that overhead yourself, which, with technology, we're not talking much overhead to be able to start a brokerage. You know, one of the things it is, you do have to have an office. But if you're going to have a brokerage, you're going to want a physical office. You're going to want a place to go to, even if it is your home office. If zoning allows. You know how many brokerages I've looked up their license on the DBPR, and when you go onto Google Maps, go to the Street View. I love the Google Street View. That's a phenomenal product. Whoever came up with that is, for real estate, it's great. It's not always the most up-to-date, but you know, you could pop in pretty much any address in there. Now, if this is a gated community, chances are there's not a Street View. But if it's not a gated community, because if the zoning does allow and somebody is in there, you wouldn't believe how many people. And even in the gated communities, you just can't see the Street View. You just plug in the address and you see it on the map. You can look at the satellite view and say, oh, that's a house. Or you can look at the Street View and you say, oh, this is a house. And you might not even see like any big signage, because there is a requirement for a door sign. So you learn about that in the course. But the door sign is as simple as name your brokerage, name of the broker, words, licensed real estate broker. Boom, there you go. End of story, done deal. Now, you do want to have considerations for the Americans with Disability Act and so on and so forth if your office is open to the public. But here's the thing. In this day and age, how much business are you really doing at your office? You know, a lot of these bigger companies, like Compass, for example. Compass has beautiful offices. Great offices. Empty offices. And that's the thing. It's you go in most real estate brokerage offices. It's not like it was back in like the 80s, 90s, whatever it is, where people are just crammed in the office because that's where the computers are. You got to remember back in like this whole going to an office concept. I mean, it was kind of, people kind of broke out of this whole trance with COVID and whatnot and look, for certain things, like if you're in some sort of team environment, yes, you need to be there with those other people, because there is a disconnect that can happen when you're not physically present with the others. But if you're a solo operation, which most real estate agents are, that's the reason why a lot of these offices are empty. And you might say, well, what about the teams? Well, look at a lot of these teams. A lot of these teams now have actually gone on to start their own brokerages, or if they haven't, they have like their own branch office, and they've got some sort of sweetheart deal with their brokerage because they want to be able to keep them on there. You do have to also have an enclosed room. For this to count as your registered office. If you got the door sign, you have an enclosed room, you could have a home office basically. Or you could go do like one of these co-working things. Just get a room with a door. That's all you need. You just need a room with a door. You go executive space, and so much. There's executive space, like a couple $100s a month, depending on where it's located, how nice it is, and all kinds of other details and whatnot. But the thing is, you don't have to meet people. Just because you're required to have an office doesn't mean you have to meet people at your office. It's a nice luxury to have if you've got a nice office, but so much more often when you're practicing real estate, there's a Starbucks that's more convenient, or Panera Bread, or some local coffee shop, or a restaurant if you're taking them out to lunch or dinner or whatever it is. There's all these more interesting places typically to meet with people than at an office. So don't overthink that, oh, I need to have an office, and so that's the reason why I'm not going to start my own brokerage. Look, if you could check the boxes of, okay, I got a door sign, got an enclosed room, got the physical office, there you go, boom, 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 you're meeting the DDPR's requirements, you could have a very minimal, basic office just to meet those requirements. And I can't tell you again how many brokerages I've seen check to meet these requirements, from having just little printer paper signs that are just slapped up there to meet the requirements, because they're not expecting people to come in there. And you could operate your business in that sense. There's so many ways to do this stuff all virtually today, and so that makes it an even easier decision. And because there is a lot of vacancy in office space, there's the commercial office space market, even here in Tampa and other popular areas throughout Florida, that you could get some really great deals on commercial office space, because a lot of bigger companies have gravitated to more virtual work environments, and so there's a lot of office space real estate that is available. So don't let the office concept be the reason why I'm not going to do this at all, because remember, you don't even have to worry about the office thing. Yeah, all this stuff here about starting your own brokerage, this is only if you choose to activate your license, to activate your own brokerage, to activate as your own independent broker. If you don't want to do that, you could remain with your current broker forever as a broker associate, or switch to whatever broker it is that you want as a broker associate. And the thing is, you're going to get more respect from other people with real estate licenses when you have that broker rank. Just like in the military, I mean, in the military, you salute the higher ranks. And, we're not as formal in real estate. There's probably not going to be sales associates saluting you as a broker associate, but you've got a higher rank. We should have probably did this in reverse here, because the broker is the higher rank. We should have put them up top. But when people find out that you have a brokered license, they think twice, really almost over anything, as it could relate to questioning what you're doing, what you're saying, because you immediately, even if that other person has more experience than you, if you've got a higher rank, you outrank them. Now, in terms of being in charge and whatnot, unless you are the broker of record, unless you are the broker of your own brokerage, that would be the only time you're really in charge and you have authority over others to a certain degree. Because even as a sales associate, that's why a lot of people just keep their sales associate licenses. There's so much freedom and independence built into that already from that standpoint. But upgrading to broker, that gives you the ultimate freedom, because you could stay with your current broker. If you're happy there, great, fantastic. But you get that peace of mind of knowing that you've got that backup plan. You've got a parachute, while everybody else with sales associate licenses is just hoping the plane doesn't go down. That's the analogy that I would use. If you're choosing not to get a broker license, it's like you're flying on a plane without a parachute. Now, there might be tons of agents at your brokerage. Let's say you're one of these mega brokerages that have hundreds of thousands, like Keller Williams, like 150,000, 180,000, something crazy, ridiculous like that of agents. So you're in the plane with all these 100,000 other people, but how many of those people have parachutes versus how many people are going to go down with the plane or suffer with that turbulence? If the turbulence is getting out of control, you can just hop out with your parachute. And look, maybe this is a bad example, because I've never gone skydiving, really don't have plans to jump out of a perfectly good airplane. But if you've already been through all the training and whatnot that you've got to get your broker license, then maybe it's easier to make that jump. Like I said, you're not really making any sort of jump, because you could stay with your current broker as an associate. But you will, so the risk that you have is minimal. Really nothing. You have absolutely no risk associated with this. You have some work associated with it. You got to take a course, do a little bit of studying, pass another state exam. But again, it's that much harder than your sales associate state exam. A little bit extra information. The math, there's not necessarily more math questions. The math is just, again, that much deeper. There's just a little bit more going on in the word problems. But that's really it. It's honestly the same exact math. There's just more going on in the question, more that you have to sift through to find the information it is that's actually relevant to what's being asked. Just like in the real world now, again, you're in charge and there's all these different things going on, and you've got to identify, okay, what are the important things that actually matter to what we've got to do here? just that much harder. So if you've been on the offense about this at all, like I said, personally, if you were a friend, a family member, or one of my agents, whoever it might be that were to ask me for just like honest advice as a real estate instructor, you know, even if you went and did this with another school, I would ask you, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you use the top-rated real estate school in Florida? But, you know, everybody's got their reasons and whatnot. But regardless, so whether or not you do it with Tampa School of Real Estate or whoever it is that you do it with to get your broker license, I would encourage you to do it because, again, the risk is basically nothing. Other than the work it is that you've got to do to get that license, if you're remaining as a broker associate, nothing really changes in terms of any sort of liability, but you will gain additional knowledge and understanding. You will have a higher ranking that will gain you some additional respect that you don't have as a sales associate. You'll be able to use that term broker with your clients. Broker associate, of course, because you can't just call yourself a broker unless you're the broker of record. But if you ever did want to become your own broker, become the broker of record, it's as simple as doing an application once you already have that broker license. So if you want to switch from being a broker associate or current broker to, you know, I want to pull the trigger and start my own brokerage, again, paperwork, a couple days time for the processing and approval at the DBPR compared to, you know, potentially a month or maybe even longer to go through the process of getting your broker license. So again, it makes you much more nimble. It's going to give you more peace of mind because you have that plan, you have that parachute available to you. If starting your own brokerage is something way down on your radar, still get the license so that way you have it in case they make these requirements any more difficult or they add on any additional things that could make you potentially ineligible in the future. And you don't necessarily know, again, what the future may hold. Maybe you're just getting so busy because there's just so much business to be had because interest rates have been cut all these times and so blah, 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 all that other stuff. So take advantage of the opportunity that you have right in front of you. Take that leap of faith, get the license. You know, maybe you stick around with your current broker, wait it out, or maybe you're just chomping at the bit to actually start your own brokerage. Because once you start doing some research, especially on the resources, the tools, the technology, the support that's out there, it's very easy to start your own brokerage in this day and age. So if you do have any further questions, I would highly encourage you to reach out to our team of licensed advisors. We even have people on our team of advisors who actually have real estate broker licenses themselves. We've got an amazing team here. So reach out to them, 813-333-2676. We have live real estate broker classes coming up, both live in person as well as live online. So you could tune in right from either your phone, from your tablet, from your computer, anywhere you have an internet connection. We could bring the classroom to you, as well as our 1-year on-demand program. Do it completely at your own pace. Just get it done within a year. So any questions about any of those, 813-333-2676. Again, that website to find the full step-by-step guide is upgradeToBroker.com. So go to upgradeToBroker.com, find that step-by-step guide. If you don't yet have your real estate license, you know you're just planning for the future, reach out to us as well, 813-333-2676. We'd help you out with your sales associate pre-licensing, exam prep, getting your post-licensing done. Maybe you've gone through all this and you're like, okay, well, I do want to get my broker license, but you know what? It is March 8th, and I don't think I'm going to have the license by the end of the month, so let's take care of that continuing education so your license doesn't get put into jeopardy, because you got to have a license to upgrade to be able to do this here. So let's not put that into jeopardy. Let's get your continuing education done before the March 31st renewal, if that is your expiration date. And, you know, simultaneously, you could be also working on your broker course. And that continuing education, there is the law review that is going to be the same laws that are also in that broker course. So there's a lot of overlap with a lot of these FREC required courses. If there's any way we could answer questions for you to help you navigate this, to help you navigate any of the educational steps, the licensing steps, or career steps it is that you're trying to take, again, reach out to our advisors, 813-333-2676. UpgradeToBroker.com is your direct link for all of the tips, tricks, strategies to get your broker license in the quickest amount of time possible. That's about all the time it is that we have for today. I thank you so much for tuning in and joining us. I hope this information has really helped you understand better about the broker license. And again, if you have any follow-up questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We've got a great team. They're very eager to answer your questions and help you understand real estate better. We're on a mission here to help people improve their lives, to help people change their future, to help people build their real estate empire. So any way we can help you out, reach out to us. It's all the time we've got for today. Have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you next Friday, 12 noon Eastern time, for next week's State of Real Estate.
Have you seen what's going on in Tampa?
looking to get in on the real estate action that's going on in Tampa right now, we're who you need to talk to. We can help you get your real estate license, start your real estate career. We're here to assist you for the life of your real estate career. Give us a call. Phone number is 813-928-0106, or check us out online at tampaschool.com. Have you been thinking about getting your Florida real estate license? Look, the process is probably easier than you think. We break it down step by step, how much it's going to cost, what it is that you need to do to get your Florida real estate license. Find out all of that and more at licensefl.com. Again, that's licensefl.com.